Okay, good morning. I'm here at the Nevada Legislative Building. And for those of you that don't watch the channel, or for those of you that do, my name is Drew Rebar. Started a channel auditing Reno 911 because I became a frustrated business person. And now I've decided to run for Assembly District 40. Today I'm going to go to an Assembly committee meeting and speak at the public comment and let the current legislators know the problems that I've been encountering. So come along for the journey, and hopefully this live stream works inside. If it doesn't, I've got a little body camera going here, so I'll repost if the live stream doesn't go. But let's go inside, go through security, and to go see the public comment. So here we are. Looks like they rebuilt all this stuff. Good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Life is good as you wake up.
Isn't it good? Right that way.
See, isn't it?
No bags or anything?
No bags.
Go right through this one.
See if I buzz.
Thank you. You should be good.
Didn't buzz.
You're good, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was kind of cool. Tax dollars at work, buying security equipment. I think we're up at the third floor.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Number 3?
3, yeah.
Maybe we're going to the same place.
Maybe.
What's 3318?
3138, I thought. Maybe we're not going to the same place after all.
Maybe not. I'm doing the transportation meeting.
Oh, well,
Different meeting.
different one.
Well, have fun in your meeting.
You as well.
Now,
Ours
there's
is this one.
3318, where would that be? That's what it said. 31. Maybe I'm in the wrong place here. Let's see. Calendar. 3138, that's where we're going. That's the wrong side. I guess I was going to that one. Oh,
And you know what? Let me take it right here.
guess I was dyslexic.
Right over here.
You want to just sit on the
Yeah.
second row?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Hi there.
Happy to send this to you, but there's,
So this is probably the boring part for everybody to watch.
No, yeah, absolutely.
So this thing's supposed to get started at 9 o'clock.
So I'd like to share this with you as well. High level
cool. Our boys. Oh, different.
Pedestrian facilities, public.
Tanya Laney. Hi, I'm Drew Rebar.
Hi.
We're going to talk about you today.
Oh, okay.
Ad hoc regulations.
Particularly in Las Vegas.
NRS 233B. Why did J.D. Decker, so let's be on YouTube here. So why does J.D. Decker get to make regulations and enforce them under the color of law in violation of 233B that was talked about by the Nevada Supreme Court in Las Vegas Trolley in 1989 that described adding just words like quote trolley, end quote, or quote trolley bus, end quote, to a tariff was ad hoc regulation making. Yet you guys create entire documents and then enforce them, all for the purpose of preventing profit. Why would you guys do that?
I'm here this morning for a presentation on our agency with this,
Yeah.
and I don't know what you're referring to, so I'm not gonna.
Well, no.
I'm not gonna
There's
respond.
an email that you created after the meeting that we had with everybody in the Nevada Trucking Association, where you congratulated somebody, I think it was J.D. Decker, on how well he dealt with redacted name in the meeting. Now, I was the one that created the issue in the meeting, so I'm guessing my name is redacted. So who did you write that email about?
Gosh, I can't respond to an email that you're asking me
Well, here, I got a copy of the email here. You want to see it?
about. I'm here to
I appreciate it.
presentation this morning to this body. I'm not here to engage with you.
Well, I appreciate that,
I
but
hope you have a good day.
I will definitely have a good, I'm having a better day now that I got to meet the person that has been persecuting me. So, yeah, and I greatly appreciate Mack versus Williams because we will have a relationship for the next several years.
I don't know who that is, sir.
Mack versus Williams, you should pay attention to the Nevada Supreme Court. Nevada,
Pay attention to my position.
well, your position is to honor the Constitution, isn't it?
I don't know who you're talking about, sir.
Well, is your position as the director of the DMV to honor the state of Nevada Constitution?
It is when it's as it refers to my position.
Well, the entire thing. All of your positions, if you're a government employee, is to honor the Constitution. You probably want to get away from me. I get it. I wouldn't want to confront me either.
Again, sir, I don't know who you are.
My name is Drew
I'm here
Rebar.
to give a presentation to this group this morning. I'm
Yeah.
not here to engage with you.
Well, I appreciate that you don't want to engage with me. But, yeah. Anyways, just so many questions. We'll talk about that in the public comment and see what these people have up here to think about. Because, by the way, I'm also a candidate for Assembly District 40, so I'd appreciate your vote.
Congratulations.
And I'm running because of you. Because of you guys breaking the rules and the laws, I'm running because of you. So let's get this out here. Let's see.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Okay, yeah, so. Yeah. Yeah, here it is, Tanya. So April 27th, 2022 at 2:49 p.m., you wrote to J.D. Decker, "Thank you so much for handling of redacted and others. You handled the back and forth flawlessly." Whose name
How
is,
is that, how is that a negative comment, sir?
whose name,
How
who?
is that a negative comment, sir?
Well, a few days after
How is
that,
that a negative comment?
a few days after that, the Nevada Transportation Authority came into my office and seized papers.
I'm not
and
aware
there's-
of, I'm not aware of that situation. And again, I'm gonna tell you one more time, I'm here this morning to give a presentation to this body, not to
Yeah,
engage with you.
I understand
Have a nice
you're
day.
a public official getting paid with my tax dollars, so I have a right to engage you. You can either choose not to answer or not, but I've got the right to freedom of speech. Article 1, Section 9, Nevada
That's fine, you
Constitution.
can speak, but I don't have to.
You don't have to
engage with you,
respond.
sir.
I appreciate that. I'm just asking questions. I'm gonna ask these people these questions. Here's one from James Appleton. Ding, ding, ding. Lien sale problems. So many emails. Oh, here's the one that I was talking about from Sergeant Robinson. You know Sergeant Robinson at the DMV down there in Las Vegas, talking to the NTA guys up here in Reno about how they're going to come get me. And this one says, I say, cite him for everything you can. You didn't target me, did you? You wouldn't do a targeted investigation to punish somebody for speaking out, would you?
Yes, okay. Seems like such a long time ago. Yes.
I can do this. I can do this a little bit. Sorry. Yeah, no, that's fine. I'm good. I just sometimes I'm doing this.
Oh, yeah, I know, we haven't met with them yet, but I did say to you,
Just
we
give
were
her-
gonna reach out to us.
I do this and kind of like.
Send her
I gotta write that stuff. I get to need that.
So everybody who you're looking at there in the middle of the three gals in black and the gray is Tanya Laney. She's the new director of DMV, and I've got some emails on her.
Yeah.
And part of what I'm here to talk about in this meeting with the assembly is her illegal actions. She's a criminal.
My phone, you can magnify things too.
She participates in making fake ad hoc rules and regulations without the assembly, and then she assists in enforcing them and punishing business people and punishing consumers. My guess is she's a very liberal green person that wants to get all the cars off the road and hates businesses to make a profit. Well, let's see if I can do that. Oh, not so good at that.
Yeah, first.
There she is. There she is. That's Tanya Laney, director of the DMV. She breaks laws.
No, yeah.
Well, there's a thing that looks just project, but those are.
Which one is it on? It's on 40 pages, it's short.
All right, hello, good morning, everyone. All right, we're gonna go ahead and call this meeting of the joint interim.
Go ahead and
standing
twist it
committee
around
on
and take it
code
off of Tanya.
Infrastructure to order. Welcome to
And
our
we'll put
second
it up here.
meeting. Can we please have the secretary call the roll?
Senator Bailey. Senator Krasner. Assemblywoman Brown May. Here. Assemblyman Carter.
Present.
Assemblywoman Dickman. Here. Assemblywoman Gallant.
Looks like everybody is
Vice Chair Watts.
mostly videoing in.
Here.
Chair Harris.
I am here, and I'd also want to note that I do see Senator Krasner on the Zoom, so please mark her present. Okay, looks like we have a quorum. Please go ahead and indicate any committee members present as they arrive if we have some late comers. All right, welcome Senator Krasner, who is an alternate today for Senator Buck. Before we start, we're going to go over just a few housekeeping items. Just throughout this interim, committee members may be attendance in Las Vegas or in Carson City or they may be attending virtually, as you see here. Similarly, we will take presentations in all of those formats as well. Committee members, if you're attending virtually, try and keep your video on during the meeting to ensure we have a quorum, but I always understand if you need to take a little break and turn your camera off. Be sure to mute your microphone when you're not speaking to minimize background noise. All presenters are asked to make sure to turn on their microphones before they begin their presentation. If committee members have any questions during or after your presentation, please identify yourself each time you respond to the question. That makes it a bit easier for our secretaries in completing the minutes for the meeting. This committee is largely paperless, meaning that all materials are provided electronically. So please do not take it as a sign of disrespect if you see members looking on their computers or using their phones to review materials. Anyone who'd like to access our meeting materials can find them on the committee's webpage. Anyone who'd like to receive electronic notification of and access to the committee's agendas, minutes, and final report can do so by signing up on the Nevada Legislature's website. Finally, I'd like to mention that a solicitation of recommendations memorandum and related information has been uploaded to our committee webpage. This memo asks all interested parties to submit recommendations to us for potential legislation. As a reminder, this committee may request up to 10 BDRs, and I encourage all members of the committee, as well as individuals and organizations, to bring forward recommendations on possible legislation. We want to hear suggestions from you. So please, please, please submit them. No idea too big or small, no problem too big or small to try and tackle. And if you have any issues with submitting those recommendations or finding that memo, you can always email me directly or text me, and I will help facilitate that, okay? Public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker, and an additional opportunity to make public comment will be available at the end of the meeting. You can provide public comment in person, either here in Carson City or in person in Las Vegas. You can do it via telephone, and the number for that is located at the top of today's agenda. Is there anyone here in Carson City who would like to provide public comment? All right, come on up, sir. Please go ahead and spell your name for the record. Don't forget to tap on the mic when you begin, and you will have 2 minutes.
My name is Drew Rebar. I'm a candidate for Assembly District 40. This is why. Tanya Laney, the director of DMV, is here today. I'm glad for this. I am here because the DMV, MTA, DPS, and Nevada Attorney Generals have been creating ad hoc rules, as defined by the Nevada Supreme Court decision in the Trolley versus Public Service Commission 1989 decision. Ad hoc rules are unconstitutional and a violation of the Administrative Procedures Act. Tanya Laney, her team, Director Butler before her, J.D. Decker, the Nevada Transportation, all of these agencies have created ad hoc rules. The NTA and DPS have created an ad hoc rule that have created a tax across the state, primarily affecting those in the urban areas, leaving those alone in the rural areas. This was illegal, unconstitutional. Director Laney's organization has created ad hoc rules to deny businesses profit, specifically stated multiple times in emails and other documents generated therein. I sent an email over this morning with some of these documents so that you can see what these documents are. If you compare these documents in their timing to AB 57, you'll notice that, gee, you probably shouldn't have been forcing these violations of law. NRS 233B, the Administrative Procedures Act, is very, very clear on the process to create regulations. Yet the executive branch doesn't need the assembly, doesn't need any of you, doesn't need me to run because they can create rules all by themselves and enforce them with their guns and badges. God bless them. This is America. This is why I'm running, because our system is screwed up. The executive branch has taken over. The assembly doesn't matter. The Senate doesn't matter. None of your voices matter. Thank you very much. There's Director Laney right there.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in Carson City
Fake laws.
who would
That's her.
like to provide public comment? All right, is there anyone in Las Vegas who would like to provide public comment? Okay, don't see anyone rushing to the tables. BPS, is there anyone on the phone lines waiting to provide public comment today?
Thank you, Chair. There are currently no callers to provide public comment at this time.
All right, we will then move on to agenda item number 3, which is approval of the minutes for the meeting of January 24th, 2024. The minutes for the meeting have been distributed to committee members for review. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved, Madam Chair.
And a second? Second. Okay, we've got a motion from Assemblyman Watts, a second from Senator Daly. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, no. Okay, the meetings for the minute of January 24th, 2024 are approved. We will now turn to several presentations today that will focus on transportation issues, traffic safety, and transportation infrastructure. First up is Mr. Sever. And the rest of the team from the DMV. We have Ms. Laney, Ms. Molly Lennon, and as I just mentioned, we have Mr. Sever as well. Please go ahead and begin your presentation whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Chair Harris and members of the committee. First, thank you for having us here today. For the record, I am Tanya Laney. I am the new director of the Nevada Department of Motor Vehicles, and I just assumed my position on March 2nd. And we appreciate your guys' time today to give you some updates on where we are with our agency. I would also like to introduce in the audience with me today, we have our new Deputy Director, Angela Smith-Lamb. We are very excited that she has accepted that role. Comes with a ton of experience and a fiscal background with the agency, and so we're very excited to continue marching forward with the missions that we have with my operations experience and her fiscal. We think that we'll make a great team. And also at the table, I have our administrator of our research and project management team, Molly Lennon. She's also leading our department transformation effort. And then also to my right, I have our deputy administrator and legislative liaison, Sean Sever. And between the three of us, we're going to give you guys an update on where we are in our agency today. So again, I thank you guys so much for your time. And I will not read the slides slide by slide because you have that information in front of you for historical purposes, or give you a recap of my experience because it's all there for you. But I will tell you that one of my main priorities carrying the agency forward, and that I take in my position very seriously, is to be the sponsor of our department transformation effort. So what that means is that I'll be continuing to lead the agency, supporting our staff and all of our leadership team on those initiatives moving forward so that we can provide our constituents the system that they have asked for, that gives them the ability to complete service transactions through our agency online whenever possible, or freeing up space in our offices and our windows for our most at-need customers that need to come in and see us. And they're not able to do so now in a timely manner because of all of the demand on the agency currently. So our hope is through our transformation transformation service offerings that we're freeing up some of that capacity to allow additional customers to have access to us sooner. And then I will carry it forward and let Molly give you guys an update on where we are on our transformation effort.
Thank you, Tanya. As Tanya mentioned, I'm Molly Lennon, the Administrator for Research and Project Management, lead for our transformation effort. Our DMV transformation effort is a multi-year project with an identified 800 plus products and features, as well as 90 plus integrations being moved online and prepared for cloud mobilization. Currently, we are on track and within approved budget. Transformation of our services will be an ongoing effort, even after project end date, as its focus is not just on technology, but full transition of our business model and continuous improvement and innovation. We've made amazing progress since we began implementation, including release of case management for our compliance enforcement division in Salesforce, 2 dealer title releases, design of the new registration online application process, which is currently in development and slated for release in July. Our content services platform, Box, was selected and is currently being implemented. A proof of concept for future state online payment design, including service fees, has been completed. Implementation of future state insurance verification through Motor Vehicle Solutions, or MVIDS, to name a few. The next few slides will give you a glimpse into some of the screens that we see both internally and our customers see. The first is our CED case management solution used by our DMV officers and our CED staff. Customers can now file complaints online. These screens give notices, tasks, reminders, etc. that are useful to our staff. Continuous enhancement is underway, including upcoming use of Amazon Web Services and Tableau for reporting and visualization of case information. The next slide you'll see is a glimpse into our customer portal. Our customer portal has been designed, and this screen gives you an idea of the information requested to complete their Salesforce portal accounts in order to request a product. The next slide is our payment record review screen. This is the design and proof of concept for our customer payments review. They will be able to view all fees and other important information related to their transactions, including their fee history. And then the last is our Nevada IVS Insurance Company login page. Most of our Nevada insurance companies are already registered and excited to participate in preparation for our modernized verification processes. This will be integrated with our Salesforce platform when we go live with new registrations. Additional progress related to our IT teams. Collaborative efforts between our vendor partners and our in-house IT include identity management functionality for our customers and staff to securely log into Salesforce, data model refinement, ABI, OCR, and document verification implementation within our dealer titles pilot, integrations to auto-verify VIN and address, Amazon Web Services and Salesforce data sharing capabilities have been stood up, and our Amazon Connect implementation is underway for modernization of our call center. Version 1 is in the design phase. Some additional features that the overall DMV has added since launch of DTE include allowing customers to self-track shipment of their driver's license and IDs, chatbot, online title fee payments for dealers, online movement permits, online written testing for instruction permits and driver's licenses, just to name a few more. And then the last thing I want to highlight is our dealer title pilot program. We released version 1 in February of 23. This allowed submission of documents electronically prior to a check and hard copies being mailed in, allowing pre-approval. It reduced the turnaround time for those participants to 1 week. In November 23, we released version 2 and increased the participants to 21 dealerships, adding real-time notifications of document upload inaccuracies, and allowed electronic title payment through our existing EDRS portal. This dropped turnaround time for those participants to 1 to 2 days. Expansion planning efforts to add additional dealers is underway now. With that, I will pass it to Sean Sever for more highlights on additional DMV efforts to improve our services.
Hello, Chair and committee members. Sean Sever from the Nevada DMV. It's good to see you all. So online written testing is one of the things I'm going to talk about here. This really interests me because I have a 15-year-old son that is really close to driving. So we now have our online written drive tests. Well, they're online now, so you don't have to come into an office. It's $6.75 each day to take the test. It's available in Spanish, but you have to do it on a laptop or a desktop computer. So, and this is just a taste of what the Department of Transformation will do for the DMV. Since we launched this in October, more than 33,000 tests have been taken online, preventing that many visits to our offices, which equals about 6,000 a month and 300 people a day that are not coming into our offices. So it's good news all the way around. The next topic I wanted to cover is on customer service. So you're gonna like this one because I assume you get complaints from people that wait until the last minute to renew their driver's license or registrations. And we humbly ask that you encourage these customers to go online or visit a kiosk to avoid a trip to the DMV. But we're doing a pilot test with this new system, Waitwell, in our Reno and Fallon offices. It will be offered in all of our offices by the end of April. The way it works is customers can check in on their mobile devices, get text message reminders and real wait time estimates, and customers can provide feedback on their experience. Rural customers can scan a QR code when they walk into the building and get into the walk-in queue, and then return later when their appointment draws near. The Reno DMV office is currently 10 days out for appointments. So third-party drive exams is yet another way we're trying to keep people out of our offices. It's not that we don't like to see people. We just can't handle the old business model of everyone trying to pile into a DMV office. So this program allows third-party drive schools to conduct drive exams and certified drivers. The drive school instructors will be trained and certified by the DMV, and they must take a refresher course every 4 years. We have 9 Southern Nevada schools interested and 1 in the north that will participate in this pilot program. And then classic car insurance. AB 349 from the 2021 legislative session required owners of classic cars to carry classic vehicle insurance. And what was happening was that people with older vehicles who were using them for everyday use were claiming them to be classic vehicles, so they could avoid taking smog tests in our 2 largest counties. We actually received quite a few complaints when this program started at the DMV because people blamed us for putting it in place, but that has since settled down.
So he just said you can make an appointment, so in Reno you can't even make an appointment on their app. Their app doesn't even let you use the Reno office to make an appointment.
This is really a success story because
you can make an appointment at Carson City,
for reducing the amount of people
Las Vegas,
taking
Las
advantage of this
Vegas,
program,
Henderson,
because it's gone from
Las
35,000
Vegas.
people
So
to
you can't make an
25,000
appointment on the Reno
in 1
DMV
year.
website for Reno DMV.
And then legislative bill implementation. We are happy to report that we have implemented all DMV related bills from the 2023 legislative session by their required dates. We do want to thank you for being patient with us and delaying implementation of your bills until after our transformation is complete. We have implemented some of these bills early, and we will be asking you to do the same in 2025. However, please realize that we will put these bills in place as soon as we possibly can. And 2 of the bills I wanted to point out were AB 151, which is the UNR 150th anniversary license plate. And then another license plate was SB 164, which is the Divine 9 license plate, honoring Black fraternities and sororities colleges in Nevada. And that plate is available right now. And then this is our contact information. Please be sure to contact me if you need anything from the DMV. We're ready to answer questions now if you have any. Thanks.
I don't see your cell phone up there, Mr. Sever. Okay, I have just a couple of questions, and then I know Senator Daly has some questions as well. My first question is related to the insurance verification system. Will law enforcement agencies have any access to that as well? And I'm asking because, the classic question we get pulled over is insurance and registration, right? So if we have some statewide system where we can automatically verify insurance, it seems like it would be nice to maybe make that system also compatible where law enforcement agencies can verify insurance. Has there been any discussion about making that a possibility?
Thank you for the question, Chair Harris. For the record, Tanya Laney, Director, Nevada DMV. So where it comes into play with the insurance status on a vehicle is it is tied to the registration status. So if there is an insurance issue on the vehicle, then when the registration on the vehicle is pulled, it will be inactive or suspended, and that will give law enforcement an indicator that there may be an insurance issue. But insurance itself, no, it's currently not tied.
Okay, so if I am understanding you correctly, this system will allow you all to almost immediately suspend registration when insurance lapses. And the lack of registration information will be available to law enforcement officers.
That is correct. That in combination of whatever the customer is able to provide roadside as far as a, digital or paper-based copy of their insurance. But if they don't have insurance on the vehicle, then you have to have insurance on the vehicle to do that initial registration. But if it's past that initial registration point and they're pulled over and they've had a lapse of insurance, then there will be an indicator on their registration, and the registration is suspended until they get the insurance situation cleared up.
Okay, next question. Will they be allowed to clear up insurance information online?
Yeah, you can do that today, actually. So if you go onto our website through dmv.gov, there is information on there now to be able to update your insurance if you switched companies, or if you've received a letter from us in the mail that states that we don't have your current insurance. Could be something as simple as the insurance company does a download to us, and for some reason your policy did not update, then the customer has the ability to do that themselves today to put the insurance in there to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information, and that's real time.
But that would not, does that also include, oh, my insurance lapsed, but I now have gotten new insurance and I want to make sure the DMV is aware of that?
Yes, that is a perfect situation to update it, yes.
Fantastic. We're on a roll. One more. I believe currently, please correct me if I'm wrong, if your registration has expired, you still have to go in. But if your registration is current and you're updating, you can do that at a kiosk. Do we anticipate allowing folks to be able to go to the kiosk or online after the lapse, or are we gonna keep forcing them to go in?
Great question. You can actually do that transaction online today as well. So we have expanded the time period of the cancellation of the insurance, cancellation or suspension of the registration. You can go online up to 18 months past the expiration of your registration to reinstate.
Okay, now I'm wishing more Nevadans watch this. There's probably not as many as we'd like who want to have that information. So if you're watching, tell your friends, because that's great news to hear. Thank you. Senator Daley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm sorry I was a couple of minutes late, got here as soon as I could, but I just wanted to, and I think you guys might have answered one of my questions on how long the wait is if you're trying to make an appointment. I know I tried making one, and this is several months back, and it was like 6 weeks. If you get on there and say, oh, the next available date is 6 weeks out. And I said, no, we'll figure something else out. Because the temporary plate would have expired by then, and I see a lot of expired temporary plates when I drive around town. But I think the gentleman said it's down to 10 days currently.
Senator Daley, thank you for the question again. For the record, Tanya Laney, Director of Nevada DMV. It is, and that's the average right now statewide for our metro offices that accept appointments. We're at a 10-day average right now to get in. In addition to the point that you just made, if the vehicle is purchased from a Nevada dealership, so it has that Nevada dealership temporary placard on it, all of those vehicles are eligible to do their registration online through the EDRS paper that they're given at the dealership without a visit to the DMV. So sometimes you will still see those plates on the vehicles, and it may be expired, but it could be that they've actually already registered online, but they're waiting for their plates to come in the mail. So if it's grossly expired, then that may indicate a problem. But we do occasionally see where individuals will use that up to the end of that 30 days that they have on that placard, and then they're still waiting for their plates in their mail, which can take an additional 7 to 10 days. So there is occasionally a window where you'll see that it's expired, but they are registered, just waiting for their products in the mail.
Understood, and that I'm assuming is fairly new, because I know the last time I had to do a new registration, I had to go in. So, and there might have been other factors on title change and some other things that caused having to go in, but I tried to set up the appointment, and it didn't work out. So So the second question related to that, and these are all Northern Nevada related, kind of questions, various things. I know you could do walk-ins, and then there was walk-ins only certain times, and then walk-ins were canceled, and now they have walk-ins again on Saturdays. It's not very well advertised, people don't know. But I think part of the frustration and then the time that you had to make an appointment, how have you handled, or have you been able to adjust on the number of cancellations? So what's the cancellation rate? Someone makes an appointment and then they don't show up. And then when those appointments don't show up, how are you guys then creating space or trying to get, take advantage of, hey, well, that one canceled? Do you call somebody? Do you send emails? Do you just say, we're gonna open up walk-in? Because when you had cancellations as high as, 40%, I had heard, you can tell me if that's the wrong number. Then you had people sitting at their stations because you turned everybody away, no walk-ins were full, and then it turns out you were only 60% full and not 100.
Thank you again for the question, Tanya Laney, Director, Nevada DMV. You guys are the best at being advertisers for our agency and all of the great things that are going on. So based on this question, I have great answers for you. We are currently with our appointment system, again, we're only about 7 days out right now in Northern Nevada. 10 days is the statewide average between all the offices that take appointments. But in Northern Nevada, you can find an appointment as soon as this afternoon in occasion, because with our new appointment system that we started with Waitwell, you get indications throughout your journey as the customer via text. And if you cannot keep your appointment, you can cancel via link through the text messages that are coming to you, and that frees up that appointment immediately for somebody else in the community to pick up. So back to your original comment that we were seeing about a 40% no-show rate, that's accurate. And I would say that's actually probably even on the low end from what we were seeing. In the South, we were seeing probably closer to a 50 to 60% no-show rate depending on the day. Currently, we do still have walk-in Wednesdays, giving the customers the ability, if they can't wait 7 days for an appointment, then they have the ability to walk in on a Wednesday. We're seeing the crowds that are waiting outside of the office on walk-in Wednesdays get less, again, because we believe that the appointments are available so much sooner. But with that new appointment system, again, it does two things. It sends you a link to confirm your appointment. So the customer is saying, yep, I did intend to make it. That's the day and time. That's the office. That's where I want to go. It's reminding you ahead of time before your appointment. And then it's, again, providing a link for you to be able to cancel that appointment if you do not want to keep it so that somebody else can pick it up. So if you go to our website right now, you'll see that Waitwell is implemented in Reno right now as the first office that's accepting appointments. Starting around April 6th, I believe it is, we start the rollout with the rest of our offices statewide, and we will be complete with the rollout of our offices by the end of April. So all of the offices will be on the same appointment system, and we do anticipate to see the exact same return on our investment through that system that we see in Reno, giving many more constituents the same ability that we have in Reno to manage their appointments in that manner and notice the rest of the public that there's appointments available if those customers cannot keep them. So we're very excited that system has worked the way that we intended it to, and that it is providing a benefit to the community and to our staff so that they can manage the flow better in the offices and have customers at their windows continuously versus sitting there calling an appointment that never intends to show up at their window.
If I may, Chair.
And thank you for that.
If I can add to that, Sean Sever from the Nevada DMV. I think it's important to point out, of course, we want people to go online. And I think the majority of people that come in to our offices can do their business online, and we haven't fully implemented our transformation yet. But one really important fact to point out is when people renew on the kiosk or online, they have to wait through the mail to get their registration, their plates. But once they register, they are live at that point. So if you're waiting until the last minute, we have kiosks in Reno, Las Vegas, also kiosks in grocery stores. Those are great options for registration options, and just trying to really encourage people to think online first.
And thank you, and it is, thank you for the update on some of those things. Those are just some of the things that I've heard from people and experienced myself. I know I went last time I had to go to DMV on a Saturday and, got there an hour and a half before you opened, and I was like the 200th person in line, right? Wrapped around the building in Reno, if you've been there and seen it. But we got in, and it went relatively quickly, all things considered. I tend to use the kiosks. They work very well. I'll advocate for those as well. And then as far as the vice chair's phone number, feel free. I have a classic vehicle, but I had the right kind of insurance, so it's no big deal. That's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Vice Chair Watts, I believe you have a couple questions.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Yeah, my phone number is 867-5309, so share it far and wide. So one of the questions that I had is around the in-person drive test. So, you shared a little bit of information about, opening it up to third-party providers to help provide a little bit of a release valve. As far as folks that are choosing to come and take those tests in offices, how are the wait times looking for that? Because I know that was an issue in the past.
Thank you for the question again, Tanya Laney, Nevada DMV, for the record. We can get that information to you, Vice Chair. Last time I looked, we were about 60 days out on average for those in-person drive test requests in our metro offices.
Thank you. Yeah, it'd be great to just see what how those trends are looking over the last little bit of time. The other thing I have is not so much of a question, I guess it's a comment. So you went over it briefly. I just want to say it's great to see that we have decreases in our staff vacancies in many of the positions across the division. To me, that shows that some of the improvements that we made for pay and benefits during the last session is working. I did see something about technicians and that there are still high vacancy rates among technicians, and also the salaries are low. So I'm just going to say that, and I know that we try not to turn this into the budget committee, but I look forward to seeing the department submit something to help get technician pay to be competitive and attractive, and I look forward to seeing the governor include it in his next recommended budget.
Vice Chair Watts, again, Tanya Laney for the record, thank you for that comment. Absolutely. We intend as an agency to work on that with our leadership. Our staff are our most important assets, right? And first, we would like to say thank you for everything that occurred this last session to give our employees a little bit of the benefits back that we've seen lost throughout the years. We definitely, think the governor's executive order that puts a moratorium on the minimum qualifications to be able to get staff in at some of the higher rates. Because you touched on our technicians, one, that's in mass, the majority of the positions that we have at the DMV. Those are our front counter staff that are our face-to-face, the face of the agency, if you will, that most of our constituents come in contact with when they visit our offices. And without them and that continuing expertise, the turnover in those positions, because other state agencies do love DMV staff because they are trained very well. They're great stewards of public servitude and customer service. But we do need to, submit additional recommendations to get those staff more equitable with what we see in the state. I do know that there's a classification study that's being done, and we're anxiously awaiting our turn to meet with the consultants to let them know, what our staff are doing work duty wise that compares with other positions in the state to create that equity so that we don't, at a minimum, lose our staff to other state agencies for the same positions that they're completing in our agency for higher pay. So that is definitely something that we're looking at. But again, we thank this body and the governor's office a million times over for the benefits that we did see this last session, because we do think that helped a lot with the turnover. We are not having an issue recruiting at this point in time. We are getting the positions filled, but depending on the day of the week that you ask for the numbers, we could have a higher vacancy rate just because we do in turn lose those positions elsewhere in the state for higher pay. But it is definitely something that we're keeping an eye on, and we're very appreciative of everything that's been done to date.
Okay, I have a couple more questions for you. Are you good, Vice Chair Watts? Any more questions? Okay. Do we see a future where folks will be able to register online after a private sale, or is that coming at some point?
Again, for the record, Tanya Laney, amazing question. Yes, absolutely. That is going to be our first initiative that is going to be the most public facing and visually available transaction for the agency. COVID taught us a lot of things, and one of those was that was the biggest roadblock for customers accessing the DMV is if they had a private party vehicle sale. Because either it's, they may have purchased it out of state or they may have purchased it from their neighbor, but because it was not from a Nevada dealership, we didn't have that information readily available to us, and those were the customers that needed our services the most during COVID. So that is the first priority of the transaction that we're rolling out with our new transformation effort, and that is gonna be roughly
Molly Lennon from Nevada DMV. So our first release in July will be new registration, and immediately following by the end of the year is that private party title availability. So I think that they really go hand in hand, right? The title and registration are required for those private party transitions. So those are our two most visible and will be highly, our most highly used transactions, which is why we are starting with those releases. We are piloting the new registration that's releasing in July with our Sahara and Elko offices. And we will be looking to expand that to as many offices as possible as quickly as we can, knowing how feasible that is as we learn from the release.
Okay, let's keep pushing. Do we ever see a future where you can register the vehicle simultaneously with the purchase?
Again, Tanya Laney, for the record, thank you for the question. Yes, so through our current EDRS process, that is available now if you purchase from a Nevada dealership. So as long as the lien holder has already been identified, because that information is needed to perfect the title and to be able to offer the registration online, you're provided a EDRS or electronic dealer report of sale that gives you a link today to register that vehicle online. Now, if you're purchasing the vehicle and you're paying cash, or maybe you had pre-approved funding and that lien holder is available to you immediately, then essentially you can go home that day and register your vehicle through our EDRS transaction. So we are going to continue to enhance on that program, but that is an option that's available today in certain situations.
Well, I recently purchased a vehicle in February, but it took about a week and a half to get that EDRS form from the dealership, even though I already had the lien holder identified. So I don't know why the dealership was taking so long to get me the paperwork if they're supposed to be able to do it instantaneously, but that was not happening quite yet with the particular dealer that I purchased from. So, but good to know that that is a goal and still coming and is actually physically possible, but maybe not happening. Okay, I believe Senator Krasner had some questions. Go ahead, Senator Krasner.
Thank you, Chair Harris, and thank you so much for being here today. So the SR22 form, which is lapse in insurance coverage, twice now I've had experiences where I've heard of, well, one, we were at the DMV and there was a senior citizen woman at the kiosk next to us dealing with the employees, and we overheard her and she was crying, talking about how she didn't get the letter and her insurance had lapsed, and even though it had only been like a couple of days, it was a $250 fine, and when she called down to the DMV, they said, you can't even drive your car here to take care of it, because the police will pull you over and they'll take your license plate and they'll impound your vehicle, and it's against the law. And so she said, well, how am I gonna get there? And they said, well, you'll have to take a bus or get a ride from a friend. And then they told her to go online and make an appointment. I guess it was before the Saturday walk-in. This woman was in tears, And also that she said there was like a large fee. It was only a few days, but it was $250 fee, plus reinstatement fees, plus this fee and that fee. She was very distraught. That was the first example. Then more recently, a college student, a young man, same thing happened. He missed the letter, and it was only like 24 hours, but it was gonna be a $250 fee, whether it's 24 hours or 30 days. Excuse me, he didn't have money and sorry. He was considering committing suicide because it was such a mess and he didn't know what to do, and the appointments were 2 weeks out. There's all these fees and penalties, and you can't even drive your car down here. And I just, I'm wondering if there might be a better way, or maybe if, I don't know, just when it's been twice now where I've overheard some horror stories. And so why is it the same penalty for, 24 hours or 48 hours as it is for 30 days? Maybe we could graduate that penalty, like if it's 48 hours, you get, 0 penalty, but then after that, it's $250, or, I don't know. I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on this, on how maybe we can help as lawmakers. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Again, Tanya Laney, Nevada DMV for the record. So per the current statute, the 1 to 30 day lapse of insurance is one fee structure, which is the $250, and then on the 31st day through the 60th day, I believe it's the second tier. Those tiers are outlined in current statute. The customers have an option in regards to exceptions to those rules. We do hear from customers all the time that maybe they were in the hospital, or they are a student that's out of state and they didn't receive notice and the vehicle is at home and it's not being driven because they are in the hospital or out of state. We have a affidavit of non-operation that those customers that can fill out, they waive that fee. We have a whole list of hardship exceptions that our staff look at for making sure that the customer really does owe that fee. So there are exceptions to the rule, but as far as the fee structure, that is clearly outlined in statute currently for the insurance verification program that was passed by legislature several years ago. But where we can, we definitely do take those situations on a case-by-case basis. One of the things that we know that we are lacking in currently, that we are expanding on through our department transformation effort, is having our constituents be able to have better access to speak to a DMV employee one-on-one in regards to these situations. Currently, we have a phone room team of 6 individuals that take the calls for the entire state of Nevada when it comes to DMV business. So as you can imagine, that's not sufficient for what we see for customers that need to access information with us. We have taken steps to increase that accessibility to this point. We have a chat bot that is in place that is learning as our customers submit questions to it. It grows as the database grows with the questions and the answers. We have a contact center model that just actually kicked off their project at the beginning of this week. That is a sub-project to our main transformation efforts to get a contact center stood up to allow customers to be able to access us by phone, by chat, to have web calls where they could talk just like we're talking to you now in the South to get answers to those questions. So as far as the communication, we know that that's something that we need to get better at, to hear those stories from the customers and give them the options that they have to waive, if possible, to have an exemption to waive those fees if it meets the criteria as it's currently outlined in statute. As far as if we have revisited what the fee structure would look like, again, that bill was passed in legislature several years ago. It was not one that the DMV brought forward. It was brought forward, by the legislative body. And if there's, language changes or additional things that can be done there, I know that we've heard rumblings of that in the past, and we're always happy to work with legislators if they have questions or they believe a change needs to be done to that structure. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
If I might add to that, Molly Lennon with the Nevada DMV. One of the things that we're doing in modernizing with our motor vehicle solutions and VIVS, the insurance verification solution that we are moving to will modernize and give us the ability to better support our customers. MV Solutions actually acts as a direct liaison with our insurance companies and adds an additional layer of support for our customers to try to resolve those lapses before they even have to go into the DMV. We're hopeful that there will be even more ways for us to modernize and further support the customers to avoid missing notices, to avoid not being able to get through, in time to take care of those issues. So a lot of great functionality will come from modernizing with this new vendor partner.
So Senator Krasner, I think I'm hearing a couple of things. Hopefully one in the future, there will be no requirement that folks have to go in person to update their registration if it lapses or their insurance when it lapses. So hopefully we can limit occurrences where folks feel like they have to take the bus because their registration is lapsed one day or two. But I also want to invite you to submit a recommendation for the committee to consider if you'd like to look at legislation that either adjusts those fees or creates better guidelines for when those hardship exemptions should be put into place. It sounds like that might have to be a legislative solution, but if that's something you'd like to bring forward, please do.
Thank you, Chair.
Chair. If
Mr.
I may,
Sever.
Sean Sever, for the record, I'm happy to help out your constituents as well with these one-off cases. And my phone number is also 687-5309. No, I'm just kidding. Legislators send me cases all the time that are hardship cases like this, and I'm happy to work with you on it.
All right, Assemblywoman Gallant.
Thank you, Senator Harris. And Senator Krasner, I'm actually happy that you brought this up because I think we are seeing something that is not one-off. It actually just recently happened to me where my insurance company decided to drop us, and I am still waiting for a letter letting me know that they have canceled our car insurance. And the only reason why I happen to know is because it didn't charge my credit card. I got it a week later, and so I had a week's lapse. So I am stuck with 4 fees of $1,000 for 4 cars. And the insurance company actually decided to drop us because my mom had 3 claims on our insurance last year. So I think maybe this body needs to go ahead and take a look at the burden of the burden that needs to be on the insurance companies to notify. I was told I was sent 1 letter several months prior, but no confirmation on whether I actually received it, obviously not. And I think the severity of the lack of responsibility from the insurance companies and trying to contact their customers really probably should be taken care of or looked at just when you were taking a look at it, like with this automatic suspension of registration, because the insurance company was quick to let DMV know, but not quick to let me know. So maybe that's something that we can look at, Senator Krasner, in terms of legislation then, and making sure that we're protecting our customer. Okay, sorry, that's my 2 cents or soapbox on that one. Question. So I've been in conversation with Mr. Sever about this. So it turns out in 2026, City of Henderson is no longer going to have a DMV in our city limits. It's moving probably 10 to 15 miles away from us, depending on where you live in Henderson. And it'll be over on the west side of 215. I understand that we're gonna have this amazing online portal that we're gonna be able to access. And I do have to give kudos that you guys are using Salesforce, because that's an excellent company when it comes to software. I use it personally. But we have a lot of constituents that are not computer savvy. And my mom being one of them. So she's 81, what are you gonna do? And we have a huge age restricted community, 55 and plus community throughout Las Vegas and Henderson. And it's gonna be a big trek for them to be able to drive over to, Silverado Ranch area. And it's gonna be even a heavier lift for them to be able to, use the computer. So is there any, and I know we've talked about this, but maybe if the DMV is open to working with some community partners to allow the ability to be able to utilize the online portal, but with some guidance from community partners so that those that are uncomfortable with the computer system, or maybe even have some language barriers as well, or maybe don't have scanners, or maybe don't have a desktop, could be able to just drive a few miles from their home to be able to utilize the fantastic services that DMV will be presenting online.
Thank you so much for the question, Assemblywoman Gallant. Again, Tanya Laney for the record. So I am happy to announce that we have partnered with AAA. You may be familiar that we do DMV transactions with them over the counter in different areas in Las Vegas and an office in Sparks, Nevada. And they are going to be opening up services over the counter at the AAA in Henderson. So we do have that option as one community partner. And I will tell you that we have been actively engaging with document preparation services, otherwise known as registration services, for several years, because today they currently hand walk in paper documents to our offices for staff to complete over the counter. And we have been encouraging them and trying to push them along, if you will, to let them know, you know, we've been very transparent that our online world is coming, that this is what our customers have asked for. And that we encourage them to get involved in adapting their business model to be able to assist those customers. There's nothing that restricts them from doing transactions online for a customer today. We have looked at integrating in our software, not a separate portal, but a box that can essentially be checked to let the agency know that somebody else is completing that transaction on behalf of another customer, so that if there's later complaints about the transaction not being done appropriately, or that they didn't do the transaction, that we'd have a mechanism to track those types of transactions. But yes, we have been taking that into consideration. And then again, with the contact center that I mentioned earlier, to where we will have, for the ones that can use the technology with the assistance of family or a neighbor, even though we can't deal with somebody on their behalf electronically for some of those transactions, if we could at a minimum have somebody assist them, we could still talk like we're talking today. If they can, you know, if they have a neighbor or family member that can help them out. But yes, we are looking at the community partnerships as well, particularly in the Henderson area. We have heard from that community the concern that that office is shutting down. We've had many questions as to why. And a very quick question as to why is that we are legislatively kept under a cap for our operations, and we simply can't afford to have the new facility in addition to the Henderson facility. And we've just outgrown the Henderson facility. And we can't split our staff and put half in the new building and leave half in Henderson, because we just don't have the staffing to fill the new facility and use it for its intended purposes. But yes, we are looking at community partners where we can to help with those transactions, absolutely. And taking that into consideration throughout our transformation as we go through it.
Can I follow up?
Yeah.
Okay. So in terms of AAA, what kind of services do they provide currently, and what types of services are they going to be able to provide once the new system is in place? And then why is it just AAA? Why hasn't it been you know, extended to like Allstate and State Farm and Geico and, you know, all the other insurance companies as well?
Great question again, Tanya Laney for the record. So AAA, we had a provision in statute several years ago that allowed us to partner with them because our missions aligned as far as, you know, road safety. We have been approached by other insurance companies that have stated that they would like to support the same model. And we have seen that a lot of those insurance companies serve a dual purpose as an insurance company and a registration service that I had mentioned earlier. So they do end up getting licensed through the Secretary of State's office as a document preparation service that can help with DMV transactions as well. So there is an outlet for those that have been interested to assist the community through that means. As far as the transactions that are available today through AAA, I don't have an exhaustive list. I can get that to you. We do list it on our website as well, but it is the majority of our registration and titling transactions that we offer at the DMV that we would consider standard. So no special circumstances as far as like a probate case or an estate or a transfer on death or something like that. But if it's your standard across the board title and registration, the AAA is able to assist with those transactions. For obvious reasons, when it comes to identity and driver's license and ID credentialing, that is still only done at the DMV, just because of the nature of those transactions and us verifying the breeder documents, which would be, passports, birth certificates, social security cards, all the other requirements that we have to be able to establish identity. We house that still within the agency.
So is that gonna be able to be done online with the new, software?
Yes, we are expanding our services in all of our categories where we can online. And yes, part of that does include bringing on tooling that can do some of that identity verification for us. So for example, you would submit your documents or your information, and we work with a software type platform that can verify that those identity documents are valid. And so we are looking at that as we expand our transactions as well. And as we expand our online availability, then we will look at expanding our partnerships with, AAA and our kiosk transactions as well. We're just not there yet. But it is something that as we expand and it becomes easier for our partners to be able to manage that, where they don't have to have the full breadth of knowledge that a technician needs to have at DMV now, where they're going through, 4 months of training and then 6 months on a window to really get comfortable with a basic transaction. It's a balancing act, right? So we have to make sure that we're being responsible, that we have the right people performing those transactions so that we don't have fraud or a high error rate that's taking our resources somewhere else to counteract to get those transactions done. But it's absolutely something that we're looking at expanding. As we expand, we've already had conversations with AAA. They are interested in expanding their service offerings to the community as well.
But not ID, correct?
At this point in time, we have not had the conversation with expanding our partnerships in the ID realm, but it is a focus of our transformation effort to move more of that availability online and to use the tools to do some of the document verification.
Okay, so I just to, think about this is that once you reach a certain age, you have to have your driver's license and your ID or your driver's license every 4 years. Isn't that correct? I believe it's every 4 years. And so now I've got a huge, constituent base here in Henderson that if we aren't allowed to do it online or have some assistance close by to home, we're now going to have people driving 10 to 15 miles to get their driver's license every 4 years rather than every 8, which seems like kind of a high burden considering we've moved DMV outside of Henderson. So I hope we can explore that further so that we can provide more accessibility to some of our elderly constituents.
Thank you for that comment, Assemblywoman. We are actually looking at the availability of partnering with, we collect something from our customers now called a CPR, or it's a physician's certification that individual has the medical ability to continue to drive safely. And part of the check now when those customers come into our office is a visual inspection of the customer, if you will. Are they speaking clearly? Did they walk to the window okay? Because a lot of times our staff will be the front line that catch maybe a medical condition or something that's going on with the older population that if they don't have family around or other people that they interact with are not catching. So part of the reason for having that interaction with the customers to be able to make sure that they are safe to operate a vehicle on the roadways. But I will tell you, we are again looking at expanding that partnership where we could receive the physician's report of that customer having a safe ability to drive, that they can get done on their closest doctor's appointment before their driver's license is due to expire, and being able to accept that documentation electronically, avoiding that visit to the DMV office.
Thank you.
If I could add, Molly Lennon for the record, Nevada DMV. One of the things that we'll be doing as we move closer to lifting our credentialing product online is public outreach campaigns. That's going to include asking our customer base of all walks to participate, give feedback at different stages in our software development lifecycle. So I would really encourage any of you who have constituents who are concerned either about learning how to use the online process or have very specific concerns like what you've just outlined, to please reach out to us. We would love to take note of individuals that are are willing to participate, and also those concerns so that we can specifically focus on those when we do our public outreach, focus groups, et cetera.
Senator Krasner.
Thank you, Chair. So a question came up after Assemblywoman Gallant just spoke to you. You said that if somebody who's over a certain age comes into the DMV and the person behind the kiosk sees something like the way they're talking or walking, they could not reissue their license? Are the people behind the kiosk trained medical professionals? Are they doctors and nurses? I mean, I can see if they don't pass the eye test, but just based on their non-medical view, they can not reissue someone's license because of their age? Did I understand that correct, please?
Thank you for the question, Tanya Laney. For the record, you are correct. So the customers, there's a place on the application for customers to let us know if they have an existing medical condition. So if the customer that is in front of us is exhibiting signs that there's confusion going on, and we've caught on occasion where customers are sitting in front of you and they can't remember their name, for example. If something like that occurs, our staff are mandatory reporters, and so they have the right to be able to request a letter from a physician stating that that individual is safe to operate a vehicle on the Nevada roadways.
We can force you to go to the doctor.
Follow up, Chair.
Wow.
We
can force you to go to the
Wow, that's pretty random. Seeing as how they're not healthcare professionals, they can make that judgment and immediately suspend and not reinstate someone's license based on their age, which kind of sounds like age discrimination there, which is a violation of federal law. And then the person has to go get a doctor's letter to say that the non-healthcare professional at the DMV is wrong, so they can't drive, and then how are they gonna get down to the doctor? How can somebody, so the only way they can overcome the non-healthcare professional behind the DMV kiosk judgment upon them is to go get a letter from their doctor? That's the only way they can refute that false claim? Is that correct?
So they can provide a letter from their physician, and also our drive examiners have the ability to retest them to make sure that they can operate that vehicle safely. We have, not only do our DMV technicians have that availability, but also our local law enforcement. So if local law enforcement has an engagement with a customer inside and they have reason to believe that there's something going on that deems them an unsafe driver, either because they visually saw the vehicle swerving on the road and there's no reason to believe that they're under the influence of anything, but there might be a medical condition going on, they also have the right to request a physician's report on that driver. So it's our staff and law enforcement that can have those interactions. And then we also have mandatory reporting from the physicians if a constituent has a seizure that occurs for driving, then that is something that has to go through reevaluation and to make sure that they can safely operate that vehicle and they're not at risk of having one in the middle of driving as well. So there's different situations that occur that tie in law enforcement and the agency to either retest their driving ability with the driving exam or with that confidential physician's report to make sure that they can safely operate a vehicle.
Thank you. Follow-up, Chair. So I can understand law enforcement. You know, they see somebody swerving, they pull them over. Law enforcement are trained professionals to see these things. But is there any training the non-healthcare professionals at the DMV behind the kiosk that are given the right to not give somebody their license based on zero medical knowledge? I mean, what kind of training do they have, and what exactly are the flags? I know you said if they can't remember their name, what are the other flags? And again, I'm okay with the eye test, but this sort of random, like, oh, well, you know, you're not speaking clearly today, so I'm so sorry, we're just not gonna be able to give you, you know, your license reinstatement. And, oh, by the way, you're over a certain age. No, maybe you can explain that to me. What is their training? And what exactly are the other factors not included in the items? Thank you.
Thank you again for the question, Tanya Laney, for the record. So our drive examiners are trained through AMVA, American Association of Motor Vehicle Administrators, and we have a standard that all states which all jurisdictions in the United States are members of this organization, and they have expanded training on making sure that our drivers are safe on the roadways. So we follow the standards through that organization, and they do have the expanded training on that for the customers where it's identified at the DMV, not through law enforcement or a report through a physician about a seizure disorder or something of that nature. Other items that our staff have, a better example other than, slurred speech or somebody not remembering their name would be, for example, a customer that came in that maybe had an accident and they're now missing a limb. There are special provisions that need to be on your driver's license to state that you can safely operate a vehicle with adaptive equipment if that's what it takes to operate the vehicle. So there's different situations such as that occur that the customer might not have. Maybe it's their first visit to the DMV since they've been in an accident and incurred the loss of that limb. Or they had a medical condition that came up in the interim, and your first thing that you think about is not going to the DMV to have something put on your driver's license to make sure this, your interaction with medical personnel or law enforcement roadside tells them that you have a condition or something of that nature that has occurred, or to let the DMV know because you need to have a restriction placed on your driver's license for, daytime driving only, if there's a visual issue, nighttime hours, stuff like that. So our staff are the front line to catch those issues as they occur, because the next time that they see that customer is typically when they come in for that renewal. We can get you numbers on what we see as far as staff having those interactions with customers. It's not high. And the situations that we do see are, it avoided somebody that, possibly just had a stroke or something the night before that didn't know that they had a medical condition, but that technician looking out for that individual's welfare, knowing that there's something off with them, and they haven't disclosed something on the application, they're required to report that so that individual doesn't get into their vehicle and cause an accident on the roadways because they themselves don't even realize that something has occurred. So again, it doesn't happen frequently, but it is something that our staff are responsible for being aware of. And then we have the expanded training with our drive examiners to test their ability to make sure that they can safely operate that vehicle on the roadways.
And just one last follow-up, Chair, thank you. So is this your DMV personnel? Is this all people of all ages that they can do this to, or just people of a certain age?
Good question, thank you. It's every single customer that sits in front of us at the DMV, regardless of age.
Thank you.
Assemblywoman Gallon.
Sorry, thank you. I appreciate it, but this has actually added a whole other sort of question about this non-healthcare person, and I understand there's training. I am curious, is it ongoing or do they just go through it once? And then my second question is, if they deem somebody who showed up to the DMV as unable or concerned about being safe on the road, what is the process for them once they are stuck at DMV and now not allowed to drive? So how would a person handle that situation, or how does the DMV handle that situation? Because it just seems like there's no due process, and we don't have a trained healthcare professional doing this, and now this person is stranded at the DMV.
Process at DMV.
Good question. Again, Tanya Laney for the record. We're gonna get together some information to get to the committees so that you guys have our process and what our staff look for and the checklist that they follow in regards to these situations, so that you guys have the information readily available on how these situations are handled.
And then the training, is it ongoing or is it just one time?
It is ongoing.
Thank you.
All right, committee members, do we have any additional questions for the DMV? Well, we have them. Okay, not seeing any. Thank you all so much for hanging in there and answering all of our questions. Sounds like you guys are up to some great things. We look forward to seeing the DMV of the future here shortly.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to the next item on our agenda, which is a presentation by the Nevada Advisory Committee on Traffic Safety. They will be discussing their annual report. and hopefully, if I know Miss Davy, also some recommendations for us. Go ahead and begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I think the chair of the committee is in the Las Vegas location, and he's going to start the presentation.
Lovely. I believe we have Mr. Bennett. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good morning. For the record, my name is Andrew Bennett. I have the privilege of serving
Okay, so that was our live stream. I'm not going to do another public comment on that. I think it was the last part kind of showed that the DMV creates regulations, creates rules, takes people's driver's licenses just without any process. That's probably an even bigger problem that I'm talking about with them. Going in an elevator and see if we go blank. So anyways, I appreciate everybody watching today. That was an interesting meeting. I didn't expect to see Director Laney there. Somebody else probably gonna get on the thing.
Is there enough room for us? Or we have a crowd?
Come on in.
All right,
If there's
thank you.
enough room, we'll all fit.
Okay, what level? One.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Absolutely.
There's a little room over here.
Yeah.
Just wanna, there we go.
Whoa. Sarah, you okay?
Thank you, Lexi.
Absolutely.
All right, let's go ahead and let's head out this way, guys.
Okay. So anyways, I appreciate everybody watching the channel. And remember, if you live in Nevada, Assembly District 40, I'm running for assemblyman. Vote for me. If you like my ideas, if you don't like my ideas, vote against me. Either way, do what you think is right for you.
Take care. Have a good day, sir.
You too.
Thank you.
We gotta go out this way?
Yes, sir. You're doing.
What does this solve?
Just an exit lane.
Just, okay. Anyways, I appreciate everybody. Have a great day. I'll talk to you later.